or it was part of equitable share, will have a huge bearing on the lives of those UHC doctors.
Now, Governor, there is a flip side, and help us understand, because we want to help the UHC staff. There have been many protests outside of our parliament here by those UHC staff. One of the problems we have with county governments is that when resources are not ring-fenced for a specific purpose, you find that you now will prioritize other things. If you ask the UHC workers themselves, they would want that money be clear that it is for UHC staff, so that we don't hear that you have decided, because when it comes as equitable share, you will decide that you want to do the stadium in Mombasa. So we have struggled as a Senate, for instance, on the question of pending bills, Senator. And in fact, there has been a conversation in the Senate that because this problem has persisted so long, Governor, and you guys are not at you guys, you as a council are not offering us a way out in terms of how we deal with this scourge of pending bills. We as a Senate have gotten to a place where we feel we should pay those contractors ourselves, those pending bills ourselves, because we release money, we pass motions, we even passed a motion setting timetables for clearance of pending bills, but it continues to persist. So how would you persuade skeptics such as myself who believe that governors and county governments, we feel we must tie your hands even further, that if money is for payment of CHPs, it has to go to CHPs, you cannot divert it to your milk program. If it is for payment of pending bills, let it be for pending bills. So how would you persuade us as the chair?
Maybe, Governor, before you respond, Senator Faki.
My answers. Recently we had a motion to deduct funds from the county government of Meru for purposes of paying one of the legal charges for a pending bill. And members felt that it was only being done because he's a foreigner. But they also say that it is now time that we also do the same to our local contractors. I know pending bills of Mombasa are about 5 billion at the moment. Yeah, so we are thinking that that is the way to go, that the Treasury deducts some money and then pays directly the pending bills, instead of the current situation where the county government is given a free hand to choose which ones to pay, which ones not to pay. And I will agree with Senator Sifuna that when we were dealing with this DORA bill, the issue of the 8.5 billion for the CHP workers featured. And we are of the opinion that this money should be ring-fenced so that we are able to monitor that it goes directly to the CHPs, rather than just lumping it together with the equitable share, and then the county government chooses which ones to pay, which ones not to pay. Thank you.
Okay. And Governor, I wish the documents were all in order so that we could have been able to look at even your pending bills in this report, because this report indicated that 77% of your debt was older than 3 years. 77%. That was 2.9 billion out of a total of 3.8 billion. And it also indicated that out of the 3.8 billion, 1.2 billion was owed to staff. I think that's statutory deductions or pensions and all that. It's a very untidy picture. And that's why maybe Senator Sifuna is saying if we were to increase, because at 454 billion, our draft CARA is going to give Mombasa 9.2 billion. I think this year you got 7.9 billion. Was it 7.9 billion? Sorry? 8.3 was 25-26 or 25, the current financial year. Yes. The year that we are reviewing, you got 7.9, then you got 8.3, and we are proposing that you get 9.2 billion. So, Senator Sifuna, perhaps to paraphrase, how do you ensure that that 9.2 billion or that extra 1.3 billion goes to settle the equivalent amount owed to staff, which is 1.3 billion?
First and foremost, and I say this with a lot of, and I want to state this, it is not about Mombasa being extra smart or anything else, but we have a good team. the team that I am able to work with. One, from the time of assuming office, we have never defaulted in paying any staff. And even when we pay simultaneously with all deductions, from money that is due to the pensions, to money that is due to all the others, to the unions. Everything is paid simultaneously, to all the statutory deductions and all. Do we have issues that are historic? Because even when you say that there's money that is due, that is employees' money, some of this money was historic from the time of municipal times. What is it that we are doing about it? As much as we are currently paying all our employees on time, and we are doing the statutory deductions on time, this can be attested not necessarily by myself, but it can be attested from the county pension fund, from the lab trust, from KRA, from the housing levy, and everyone else that we are meant to be paying. But we've also been in conversation with the county pension fund. We've been in conversation with the lab trust. We made a payment to the lab trust. As a matter of fact, we have reduced. There were people whose gratuity had not been paid from the time I was in high school. Some of them have even passed on. And we have reduced all that level of gratuity. If I'm not right now we are at which year? We have reduced from all the way from the 80s, we are currently at 2023. So as we are paying everyone, we are also reducing on an aging analysis. Though that is now on issues to do with staff. On issues to do with the CHPs, again, Mombasa first of all started paying CHPs. It was a decision we took to pay CHPs before even there was the national government arrangement to be able to work on this. Are there counties that have not followed suit? By all means, yes. There are counties, but are there many? No. There are a small minority of counties that have not been able to follow suit on this. The issues of putting money like UHC and the CHPs, we're the ones who are dealing with the CHPs on a day-to-day basis. What happens is they get their stipend from the county government, then they have to wait for national government, whether national government will be able to pay them on time or not on time. If there's an error of a telephone number, if someone has shifted, if someone has passed away, by the time that information is done, there's already a loophole where there are some payments that are already would have already been done. And sometimes people are paid in arrears. There was a time they were paid a couple of months in arrears because they had not been paid prior. So the argument is, why don't we have one pocket to be able to pay? Even for the CHPs, it's not a problem. It can actually come in as a conditional grant. Because if it comes in as a conditional grant, the money for the CHPs, it is put into a joint account where then it is now dispersed, where you cannot be able to spend that money until you put in a matching amount. That is something that has been done previously. But for the UHC staff, let me state it here, Chair. If you put that money for the UHC staff as a conditional grant, what that means basically is next year, it is conditions precedence on whether government will be of the opinion, of the view, that yes, we need to be able to continue giving. And the agreement that is there is that these UHC staff are meant to be hired on a permanent and pensionable basis. So if you provide funding to pay their salaries for 1 year, and then counties have gone and absorbed them on permanent and pensionable, and then the year after, someone says that no, we should not be paying this conditional grant anymore, There are counties that are going to, on the flip side of things, there are counties that are going to be in quite a problem. Collectively, these figures just for the UHC staff is 8.9 billion. Unless, of course, the conditional grants come in, and then in the wisdom of Parliament and in the wisdom of Treasury, by the way, this is not even an argument by ourselves. This is an argument that the Ministry of Health actually wrote to the Commission for Revenue Allocation, indicating that when they are doing their proposal on what should be the revenue and the equitable share, they did do this. There's a letter that was done by the Ministry of Health indicating that they need to include that 8.9 billion first.
Now, Governor, you have a lot of background on this as a chair of the Health Committee. I think let's come back to the numbers, but we hear you. Your contribution will guide us when we are making our debate on the matter. We thought that ring fencing it would be to give hope to the UHC workers. We've thought that ring fencing, we must find a way of ring fencing an allocation for settlement of pending bills, but we are also aware that budgeting is the domain of the county assembly. And perhaps what Senate can do is to make certain recommendations to the county assemblies that now that we have increased the allocation to Mombasa County, perhaps you need to prioritize this 3 billion that has been outstanding for over 3 years. I think we cannot direct the assembly. We can only advise the assembly on that.
Chair, I love the concept of actually ring fencing for purposes of paying pending bills. In fact, this is a proposal that I sent a very, very long time. I did this proposal the first year I was in office to Treasury. But I think the whole concept itself was very, very new. When you ring fence and you say that this is an amount of money that we need to be able to pay for purposes of paying pending bills, the argument